Hi, I want to do a proper video on this at some point, but for now I just kind of want to showcase it because I'm very proud of it. Look, I turned chain conveyors into data transmission lines, because they're kind of like power lines, they remind me of power lines, but you can also make them data transmission lines. So if we input a binary number here, let's input, I don't know, for 7, sure. So we can input 7. That goes through the chain conveyor, and would you know it, it's 7 over here, and that's a signal strength. But I can convert that signal strength back into binary or into decimal or whatever using a red coder circuit and stuff like that. So that's easy enough. But yeah, woohoo, yay. It took me quite a while to get here. A lot of experiments over a couple sessions, but I got there in the end. Basically, the way it works is, as you can probably tell, this is a stressometer. It does it based off stress. So, fun fact that I didn't know until like right at the end of designing this, chain conveyors have a stress capacity, and multiple of them on the same network increase the stress capacity. So I'm using that to my advantage, basically speeding this up using these adjustable chain gear shifts, which are very cool. So, you know, if I want to go set 8 here, you can see I'm speeding it up. These double it each time, so I'm doubling it, so that this is 4 times, or 8 times the speed, of that first one, which means it reads the speed of 8, because the first one, obviously, this only lets the clutch go through, no speeding up. This is the same speed as what's coming from down here, which is a 9 RPM, I believe. Is that RPM? That is RPM. Yeah, 9 RPM. And that runs through, and that gives a signal strength of 1. So, yeah. That does that. There's a lot of decently complicated wiring here. It's very dense, and it's a bit of an abomination, but it works. And the way it does that is hard to explain. I don't really think I can fully explain it because I don't know if I fully understand it right now. But basically, when you enable like this one here, for example, 4, if I enable this, this is already enabled. This is already doubling it because that's kind of required for the 4, right? So how do I add that extra 2 stress units or 2%, whatever? How do I add that 2 extra signal strength? It's with a fan under here that is spinning, this one here, that is spinning and using up a little bit of stress. 36 to be exact. So this is 36 as well. So then that gives us 6, because each of them is 3, I guess. That doesn't really make much sense, but it works, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that on its own is 4. Why does that work, actually? Oh, because this no, because when I enable that, nothing changes other than connecting this, which is using the same. Oh, it's because there's another one of this. Yeah, okay, so these have a signal strength of 2 each. Okay, whatever. Like I say, I can't fully explain how the circuit works, but it's a lot of AND gates and a lot of locking things off, aka AND gates. So yeah. But yeah, moral of the story, uses stress units. I had to stop it for 0, and in order to reach 15, you actually have to overstress the system. So I have to make sure it overstresses in order to get 15, which is how we read a 15. So it actually, if you look at the chain conveyor, it actually changes speed depending on what signal is going through, which I think is quite neat. So you can actually see the data being transferred. It's kind of useless. It can only do 4 bits at a time, which is kind of annoying. But I thought it would be cool. Like, kind of my initial idea was to have a whole redstone computer where you've got like one building that has an adder in it, and then it transfers data using these lines here, and then that goes to the instruction register one, which goes to the RAM one, which goes to the other registers, which, you know, like they all sort of interconnect. The only limitation with this, which is kind of annoying, which can be worked around probably, but I don't know how, and it'd be really annoying to work with, I think, is that if we connect up another chain conveyor here, that adds to the stress units in the system. So if I turn 1 on, it'll give me 2 because you got 9 here, you got 9 here, and you got 9 here as well, which is not ideal. And that throws the whole system off because now all of a sudden that's 4, and then this is like 9 when it should be 7. This should be 4 and that's 6. It doesn't really work, right? So you can't have an extra chain conveyor in there. You can only do like send it to one thing, but that's alright. Because I'm sure there's other ways to transfer like multiple things. But yeah, I don't know. Cool little contraption that nobody is probably going to care about, but I thought would be neat. There it is. Not very compact.